Give it a second for people to hop on. Okay, we've got some folks coming in. Okay. So we'll just get started. So hello everyone, and thank you for joining us over your lunch hour today for our webinar in sponsorship with EDR and the NSBA. My name is Jamie Polsom, and I am Operations Support with WESC. And I'd like to give a big shout out to today's webinar sponsor, who is W Law. Our topic today is supporting Indigenous women's businesses and entrepreneurship, presented by Raquel Passip with Nia Washday. If you have any questions for her as we go through the presentation, please feel free to submit them in the Q&A box, not the regular chat box, and Raquel will answer them at the end of the presentation. However, please feel free to use the regular chat box and introduce yourself to tell us a little bit about your business. As always, this webinar is being recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing, and you'll receive an email tomorrow at this time with a link to the recording. And with that, I will pass it over.
So we have Wioda Iaka Moshte, Itakiabi, Chegaken Numakora, Michejene Raquel Passap, Kinamaya Mitakuna. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Raquel Passap. I'm a member from Carry the Kettle First Nation. I am Nakota and presenting to you from my traditional lands here in Treaty 4. I'm honored to present to you on June 21st, which is National Indigenous Peoples Day. I want to acknowledge that the month of June is also National Indigenous History Month, and I thank you for joining us today for my presentation on supporting Indigenous women entrepreneurs. This day offers the opportunity to celebrate, but also recognize and acknowledge the unique culture, traditions, and heritage of the Indigenous peoples across the country. It is also important to highlight the tremendous contributions that the Indigenous peoples have made and continue to make every single day in developing the world. Learning about Indigenous peoples, the places, and the experiences is a step forward for each of us to take on the path to reconciliation. You can go to slide 2. So true reconciliation means that the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 calls to action need to live and breathe in our economic world, in our actions, and in each of us. Understanding our collective past and the impacts of the legacy of residential schools and colonial policies will result in progress on reconciliation. Entrepreneurs play a major role in the Indigenous economy by providing growth opportunities, but also by creating a new culture narrative. Decades of economic isolation on reserves and the unemployment among many First Nations people in the urban areas means that a vision of Indigenous potential and prosperity is rarely seen. Laying out the path to an Indigenous economy establishes a way to see ourselves in our future. So imagine building a network for an established Indigenous women's entrepreneurship ecosystem, mapping it out and connecting everybody together. Our goals are endless. It is time to turn our desires into reality by taking a seat at the table of economic reconciliation. It's not an easy pathway, but there's a lot of liberty to economic reconciliation. The concept of see it to be it, it can change everything when our narrative changes. Excuse me. So I'm here today to present to you on supporting Indigenous women's entrepreneurship. So I'm the owner of Nia Washday Fitness. It's a very small business at the moment, but with big potential. My list of goals, it gets longer and longer every time I wake up. I can't stop thinking about where I could take this business. And just to explain the name, Niawashte means she's good in Nakota. You can keep on slide 2. And I chose this name because I use physical therapy to take care of my spirit, mentally, emotionally, and physically. It is the understanding when she is good, you are good, so we are stronger together, empowering one another. And I want Niawashte Fitness to feel like a place you can call home. So just to make a comment about the name. So my daughter loves the name. She loves that I chose to use her Nakota language. And you can really see her pride in my business when she's shouting Niawashte in the house, even at the dog every day. And I have to tell her, if you want to say something to the dog, it should really be Shungawashte, which means good dog. But there's no better message you want your child to carry with her, other than to be able to learn to be good and to do good in life. So continuing with my presentation, as Indigenous people, we're healing people. We're healing from intergenerational trauma, cultural genocide, and all the historical impacts from the colonial systems imposed by the government. Every day we find ways to break cycles for a better tomorrow, and especially through our endeavors with economic reconciliation. So Niawashte Fitness is just one of those avenues to empower Indigenous women and girls through physical therapy. So we are strong people, and our elders are always saying that, we are strong people, and the Creator has a journey for every one of us, Indigenous and non-Indigenous. But we also need to assist the Creator in helping us get there. So I'll tell you a little bit about my journey. So I've always been an active person. I found peace in physical activity, whether that be in the gym or playing sports. And I really turned to physical therapy in 2017. And that was the year that I lost my father due to just natural health causes, my mother who died in custody, and my eldest brother who was in a tragic incident where he was found in a burnt vehicle. So both sides of my family are residential school survivors and day school survivors. So I endured one of the most traumatic times in my life that year, and I needed to help myself grieve. I remember going out on using Marketplace and searching for all the affordable equipment to build myself a home gym. I would spend hours in my basement working out. I remember I would be on one half of the room and my daughter would be on the other half, playing with her toys. And we would spend hours in the basement working out, playing together, laughing, talking with one another, and loving, and sometimes crying. So in the photo on the slide, you can see the setup of my home gym. So the equipment that I felt comfortable with, and that I found a lot of peace in lifting those weights. So as years passed, I noticed I was healing in a healthy way. I was balancing my medicine wheel through physical therapy. As I was getting stronger mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, I noticed the women around me were struggling with their mental health, with balancing their medicine wheels. And one of my friends would always say, but like, you were strong. You were a strong person. And that's just not me. So I began to reflect on that and understand why am I so strong? To to be able to overcome these obstacles in life. So I started to encourage others to do physical therapy, to do physical fitness as therapy. And they could not make the connection at first. I had to share a lot of my own experiences and how I kind of channeled those emotions or any of those thoughts as well through my fitness. It was challenging to get them motivated for the gym. And I saw them failing at their gyms or even with their trainers. So I started inviting friends over to work out with me. And there was something more meaningful. There's just something more meaningful when you're in a comfortable environment, to be vulnerable, to connect with someone, to share with someone, and to even laugh with someone while working out, with someone who's empathetic. And that was similar to the environment that I had with my daughter. I would be working out in the basement and she'd be playing in the basement, and together we had this environment that was comfortable for us. And so from that moment, I progressed to the idea to start my own business as a personal fitness trainer in a private studio that was a safe place for someone. So I started back in September 2021. I began researching how I can get certified to do personal fitness training. I remember reaching out to others on social media, asking about their certification. I contacted a friend, Alethea Gray Eyes from Saskatoon, who operates a group fitness business. And she received her certification to Saskatchewan Parks and Recreation. I also reached out to the founder of Neo Wellness, Shana Thomas, from Saskatoon, and she referred me to an online program for personal training certification. And I was anxious about getting started or enrolling in a program that just wouldn't meet the needs or the standards to operate a business in Saskatchewan. And so I'm kind of thankful that these two ladies were willing and offered me advice, no questions, just gave me lots of support and best wishes. How it should be, where women are empowering women in our communities. So there's this saying, when you support Indigenous women, you support the entire community. And for Indigenous women, our initiatives are always led by our Indigenous worldviews and our value systems. There's always a significant meaning and a story to share about what got us here. And that's always really important when asking about somebody's business. You can go to slide 3. So I began with the certification process, and then my next steps were to self-fund my business. As a single mom and a sole provider for my daughter, I needed to pick up another job. I was super grateful to have the opportunity to act as a sessional for the First Nations University of Canada. As you can see from the photo in the slide, it takes time, resources, and some patience to build your business. It just doesn't happen overnight. And I was working full-time, studying part-time, teaching part-time, while trying to get to the point where I can launch my business. So it was a very busy 6 months, but I'm pretty proud of myself to just grind to be able to reach those goals within 6 months. So I was definitely building a relationship with my financial advisor at my financial institution, but before seeking outside external capital, I wanted to achieve my startup by embracing the process of what they consider sweat capital. And in order to gain the most knowledge for a small business, especially with a new venture, I think it is important to go through your own growing pains at your own pace. So my wish was to self-fund from the beginning and see, I needed to believe in my business to be able to believe in myself and make others believe in it as well. So as I was building my private gym studio, I continued to reach out and to seek the advice from other business owners, Indigenous and non-Indigenous. I contacted Brandy Smith at Iron Therapy here in Regina, asked her about her studio regulations. She offered me so much advice and support, which grew my confidence that my business was going to work. I purchased equipment from Fitness Experience Regina, and they were thrilled to learn that I was starting my own personal training business. And they offered to support me by inviting me and my daughter to participate in a commercial. And that kind of caught me by surprise because I was just launching. I did not have any merchandise to wear, but they really wanted to support my initiative by promoting my business. As I continued to build my social media presence, Supplement King Regina noticed my business and they wanted to connect and build that relationship to support my clients as well. So there was this overwhelming support in the community. And I remember thinking like, wow, I'm like, entrepreneurship community is inspiring. I mean, just the way that everybody empowers one another and also supports one another, building those relationships is just astonishing. So don't be afraid of competition like I was. I was really scared about reaching out because I didn't want to create competition. You know, I wanted to be able to create that healthy relationship, to be able to empower another business and not be seen as a competitor. So the community is very empowering. So in my studio, I have their products displayed for my clients as well. And it's really important to me because I want to be able to honor those relationships that I built to this day. So you can go to slide 4. All right, so in this slide, this is a photo of what my studio looks like today. Before the launch, as an Indigenous person, I wanted to do things in a good way and hold myself accountable to operating in a good way. I asked our elder, Brenda Dubois, she's from Regina here, to bless my studio before I opened. And what I mean by holding myself accountable, like I'm building a foundation based on Indigenous worldview by honoring my business with a ceremony, a blessing ceremony. So I'm obligated to respect that relationship that I have with the Creator and manage my business in a good way. It's a unique way of accountability, but as the owner, the only way that I could be accountable is to be able to be accountable to the Creator and to the people in the community. It's really important to me that the work that I do incorporates my traditional knowledge, culture, and value system because of what my business stands for and what it is that I'm trying to give back to the community. So as Indigenous people, we do not evaluate wealth on individual gain. We see wealth as more of the gains in community sports, relationships, and generosity. And there's research by the Canadian Council for Indigenous Business that shows that almost 80% of Indigenous women's businesses use traditional knowledge or traditional cultural expressions and as their foundation. And I also work in the field of Indigenous education, and I'm a strong believer that we can heal through education. Many times when I speak with Indigenous educators, I hear many comments that healing starts at home, and we need to do more for the families within their homes. So I just want to invite you to take a moment to imagine a woman staying in bed, laying in bed, no motivation to enjoy life, to play, to work, to cook, to do any type of self-care. All she wants to do is to lay in bed. Now imagine that woman has a child at home with her, no partner and no support. All she wants to do is stay in the room, lay in bed. Mom is not doing too well, and it's not good for the child either. So I can relate to that. I'm not above anybody. I was once that woman and that mother, and Indigenous families have high rates of single parent homes. Our kinship values have suffered from cultural genocide. Our families have suffered for generations, but we are learning, and we are loving ourselves again, and we are rebuilding our nations. And at Niawash Day, my vision is to empower Indigenous women and girls through physical therapy, so that child or that family member waiting at home has a present mom or a relative, and she has the strength to get up and to enrich the lives of the next 7 generations. You can go to slide 5. So I'm not trying to capitalize from my business. My business is my avenue to give back to communities and to strive towards my vision. In our Indigenous worldview, we are always told to do things for the next 7 generations. I sometimes find myself challenged by colonial structures in business because at times it clashes with my Indigenous worldview. It is no doubt to say that business is a colonial model, but we need to make the space and accept Indigenous business models and an Indigenous economy, where economic reconciliation is so important because it shapes the positive actions or better well-being of Indigenous peoples. It is relational and not transactional. And as we continue to model our own Indigenous ways of business, we are planting those seeds for the next generations. My daughter, I'll just go on to explain a little bit. My daughter is big into skincare at age 10, and she wants to develop her own products using traditional medicines for her skin. And she understands the process that she needs to engage in before starting her business. She understands her first step is to seek knowledge on those traditional medicines. Her first few years will be going on the medicine walk, learning the language, and learning the protocols, and learning to harvest and everything that's going to come with those medicines. She respects the path that she needs to take before she thinks about making products. And she loves the fact that she has access to a positive role model at her fingertips. That is one of my goals as I venture through starting a business, is to share with others how they can get started too. So I would encourage all of you to be positive role models and to help others pave a path and to nurture the next 7 generations through business and entrepreneurship. We are stronger together in building our communities and our economy. And I want to thank you for your time and for listening.
That was amazing. I'm just going to double check the chat, see if there's any questions in there. If anyone has any questions, now is the time to do so. I also appreciate it's like just very Canadian to have like a webinar with like Tim Hortons in it. Hmm. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions coming through, so you must have hit all of the topics that everyone was interested in. So I will just say a big thank you for being a part of today and telling your story. I appreciated that so much. You've been through a lot, and you're a very strong woman on the other side of it. And I hope everyone has a great day and happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
All right, thank you for having me, and everybody have a beautiful day today and celebrating National Indigenous Peoples Day.
Goodbye, everyone.